Hey, let it be known, I'm working hard when I ain't on the phone. This ain't a...
So since we know the prospect is interested, it makes our job really easy. We just have to keep their skepticism to a minimum. And the easiest way to do that is don't try to convince them. I know I keep saying it, but I have to repeat it because so often people think selling or leasing means convincing, and they end up sounding like a used car salesman. There are a plethora of options. We are no longer in the 2000s. No one needs to be convinced, nor do they want to be convinced. So by trying to convince them, you're actually going to push them away. So let's look at some practical ways to build rapport, keep attention, and close the deal. First off, your pace. If you feel rushed on the phone, it's because you're either causing it or allowing yourself to be rushed. Control the pace of the call. Slow down. If the caller is a fast talker, don't worry. By slowing down, 9 times out of 10, they're going to match your pace as long as you remain in control of the call. Hi, this is... Slow down. The person can't even comprehend what you're trying to say. And to make matters worse, you probably left them feeling like they're bothering you or taking up too much of your time. And that does not build rapport. It's not going to make the person feel like they can open up to you. Remember, we want to keep the attention. So we need to build rapport. We have what they're looking for. We just need them to see it so it becomes their idea. So slow down. Number 2, listen to learn. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone and after you stop talking, the person asks you a question that makes you wonder if they were even listening? Or it felt like the person was more interested in sharing their perspective rather than listening to what you were saying. It's as if they weren't really paying attention. This is a sure way to build a wall between you and your prospect. If you can't take the time to listen to the prospect before they sign the lease, you won't be able to listen when something goes wrong in their apartment. Or at least that's the impression we give off when we lack active listening skills. The irony of it all, oftentimes they're telling us exactly what they want. They're giving us the answers to the test. If the prospect gets on the phone and says, "Hey, I'm looking for a 2-bedroom apartment. Do you take walk-in tours?" And then you gather their name, phone number, email, and ask them what type of floor plan they're looking for, come on, stop looking at your script as an instruction manual or recipe book. The person just told you they're looking for a 2-bedroom apartment. When you lack active listening skills and miss key points, it sends a signal that you haven't been listening. This is a red flag to any prospect, and it immediately places doubts in the prospect's mind. Learn to listen, and then listen to learn. Don't listen to wait for your turn to speak. Listen to understand what it is that they're looking for. Their entire desires, their wants, their needs, why they're moving, what they like, what they don't like. All the answers are right there. They're giving you the cheat sheet, so listen. Which takes us to number 3. Know your product. Before answering a call, make sure you're prepared. If you're answering the phone, you should have already reviewed your availability and studied it thoroughly. Honestly, no impression is better than a bad one. And this takes us back to the daily opening checklist training. If you haven't seen that, go back and watch it. But make sure you know your product. How do you intend to help someone find a suitable apartment if you don't even know what you have to offer? Study your availability. You should know what's available like the back of your hand. This also is a huge confidence booster. I'd go as far as saying most of the frustration that new leasers experience comes from not having a clear understanding of the availability and the features of each unit type. And when I say know your availability, I don't just mean know which floor plans are available. I mean know which floor levels they're on, what renovation styles they have, does it face a pool, does it face the parking lot? Really get down to the brass tacks of what your availability is. The more detail you know about what you have available, the easier it will be to lease an apartment. Remember, you're not here to convince them of anything. You're simply showing them exactly what they've been looking for. They're already interested in the community, so if you can match them with the perfect apartment that fits their wish list, it's really a done deal. But you have to know your product. The next practical tip is verbal cues. Make it clear that you're listening. The prospect cannot see you on the phone. You have to engage with the prospect as they're speaking. Give verbal cues or feedback so that the prospect feels a connection. So some verbal cues are, ah, okay, that makes sense. Verbal cues signal understanding and connection, which is exactly what you need to do to get a prospect to open up and share information. Without information, it's kind of difficult to successfully match them. Plus, without verbal cues, they might as well be talking to a robot. I mean, if you were talking to a friend or family member and they never gave you verbal cues, that's just weird. We're human. It's okay to have human interactions. In fact, it adds another level of hospitality, and those who do it well excel. You can use these with residents too. You can also repeat what you heard back to the prospect. Okay, so it sounds like having a washer dryer in the unit is important to you. The goal is to connect. You can ask a related follow-up question. So you mentioned you'd like to have a washer dryer in unit. We have washer and dryers in select units. Just so I have a better understanding, is not having a washer dryer a deal breaker for you? These are verbal cues that show your interest and help prospects feel more relaxed. The next tip is tone. You want to close more deals, you want to build rapport, you want to connect? Master your tone. What do I mean by tone? If your call script is dead, the one thing that will bring it to life is adding personality. How do you add personality? Tone. Tone is what lets a prospect know where you're coming from. It's how your prospect will perceive your intent. A friendly tone is the baseline, but to bring life to your conversation, you need to incorporate other tones. Imagine what you sound like speaking to a friend. You don't always have the same tone. If you're asking a question, you may have a tone of curiosity or confusion. This is what brings about a more genuine feel to the conversation. If your tone is stuck in baseline mode, you're really not building connection. It actually places you in the forgettable category. But if you use tones such as humor, excitement, curiosity, or even challenging in the right context, you now become a person and not another leasing agent. You become someone they feel comfortable with, someone they want to know. And that gets prospects to pull the wall down, open up, and sign leases. This one may take some practice, but if you can master it, it'll be so worth it. Next, take a breather. We all have those days we don't feel like talking to anyone. If you're having a bad day or experiencing a frustrating moment, or find that you've been rushing around all day and feel like your coworkers aren't doing anything, whatever it is that's frustrating you, if you need to take a breather, take a breather. Answering the phone with a negative tone or attitude is not an option. Simple as that. You either have to suck it up and turn it on, or take a breather. Don't take advantage, but if you need to take 5 minutes to gather yourself, it's better than risking the property's reputation. And this last one's a bonus. I don't want you to get into the habit of this being a checklist. And that's why this point is probably the most important out of all of them. And that's role play. I mean role play all of it. Role play answering the phone, role play answering in a calm and collected manner, role play identifying which unit would best suit a caller, role play probing questions, controlling the pace of the call, role play it all. Here's the thing, role playing can be a little uncomfortable, but doing it once or twice isn't going to cut it. If you want to know when you should stop role playing, do it until you're no longer nervous. The reason you feel uncomfortable on the phone is because you haven't practiced enough. You need to practice. If you feel uncomfortable practicing at work, practice in your car. But practice, because when it's showtime, you want to close. And you can't close if you're practicing during the close. I mean, you can sometimes, but practice. This is serious, guys. LeBron James didn't become LeBron James without practice. Beyonce didn't become Beyonce without practice. In closing, your script should be more of a guidebook, not a script to read verbatim. It's an impromptu narrative, not the law. It's there to guide the conversation. I guarantee if your company wanted a robot for a leasing agent, you wouldn't be watching this video. So give these tactics a shot. Let me know how it goes. As always, I'm happy to help. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next training.
I can't break, that's the thing about me. I won't put these goals on freeze. I can't break, that's the thing about me. I won't put these goals on freeze.